somewhere above the forests of the Pacific Northwest. A man carrying $200,000 vanished into the storm. The rear staircase of the Boeing 727 remained lowered against the freezing night air, while rain and violent wind tore across the aircraft. Then, D.B. Cooper disappeared. No screams, no final message, no trace visible beneath the darkness below, only endless forest, mountains, rivers, and one of the largest wilderness regions in the United States. Inside the cockpit, the flight crew sat frozen in silence after the aircraft suddenly shifted upward. The pilots understood immediately what had happened. The hijacker was gone, but nobody knew whether he was alive or dead. The storm outside was brutal. Heavy rain reduced visibility almost completely. Winds reached dangerous speeds. Temperatures outside the aircraft dropped far below freezing, and somewhere beneath the plane, a single man had jumped directly into the darkness, carrying a parachute and a bag full of ransom money. The crew continued flying south for several more minutes before safely landing the aircraft in Reno, Nevada. When FBI agents finally boarded the plane, they discovered the cabin empty. D.B. Cooper had vanished completely, but what investigators found inside the aircraft raised disturbing new questions. One parachute remained unused. Several cigarette butts rested beside Cooper's seat. A black clip-on tie had been left behind, and near the rear staircase, authorities found evidence confirming that the hijacker truly had jumped from the aircraft mid-flight. The impossible had happened. A commercial airliner had been hijacked, and the hijacker had escaped into the storm. News of the case spread rapidly across the United States. The public became fascinated almost immediately because the crime felt unreal, cinematic. A mysterious man in a business suit had outsmarted federal authorities and disappeared into the wilderness like something from a movie. And unlike many criminals, D.B. Cooper had harmed nobody. That strange detail transformed him into something unusual, not merely a criminal, but a legend. Meanwhile, the FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in its history. Search teams deployed across massive sections of Washington state and the Pacific Northwest. Helicopters scanned forests from above, while agents searched rivers, mountains, and isolated terrain below. But investigators faced enormous problems immediately. Nobody knew exactly where Cooper had jumped. The storm conditions complicated calculations. Wind speeds may have pushed him miles away from the estimated drop zone, and the Pacific Northwest itself was unforgiving terrain. Dense forests stretched endlessly across mountains and valleys. Rivers cut through remote wilderness areas where a body could remain hidden indefinitely. If Cooper survived the jump, he could disappear almost anywhere, and if he died, the wilderness might never reveal him. Investigators began reconstructing the hijacking minute by minute. Witnesses described Cooper repeatedly as calm and intelligent. That detail became central to the investigation. He appeared prepared, experienced. Some FBI agents immediately suspected military training, possibly a former paratrooper, perhaps someone familiar with aircraft systems and parachuting, because Cooper clearly understood the Boeing 727 in unusual detail. He knew about the rear staircase, he knew how to operate it, and he appeared comfortable jumping directly into a storm at night. But other evidence created confusion. Experts later argued that no experienced skydiver would willingly attempt such a dangerous jump under those conditions. Cooper wore ordinary business shoes, a trench coat, minimal survival gear. The parachute he selected was not ideal for precision landing. Some investigators concluded the hijacker likely died instantly after jumping. Others strongly disagreed, because despite the danger, no body was ever discovered and no parachute was ever recovered. As the days passed, the mystery only deepened. Search aircraft flew repeatedly across likely landing zones. Ground teams moved through forests and mountain terrain searching for wreckage or human remains. Nothing. Hunters reported possible sightings. Residents described strange noises in the wilderness, but every lead collapsed. Rain and snow complicated the investigation further. The Pacific Northwest entered winter while the FBI continued searching enormous stretches of wilderness. Then investigators began examining another possibility. What if Cooper had planned everything carefully? What if the jump itself was survivable? That theory terrified federal authorities, because if true, it meant the hijacker had escaped successfully. The FBI released sketches based on witness descriptions. The face quickly became iconic. Dark sunglasses, thin lips, business suit, a calm expression hiding unknown intentions. Across America, people became obsessed with the mystery. Bars, newspapers, television reports. Everyone discussed the same question. Who was D.B. Cooper? And where had he gone? Hundreds of suspects emerged almost immediately. Some people confessed falsely seeking attention. Others were reported by friends, former military associates, or suspicious relatives. The FBI investigated skydivers, criminals, ex-soldiers, and airline employees. But none of the evidence led to definitive answers. Meanwhile, the hijacking itself triggered major changes across American aviation. Authorities feared copycat crimes, and they were right to worry. In the years following Cooper's disappearance, multiple imitators attempted similar hijackings. Some demanded money, others demanded parachutes. Most failed quickly because after D.B. Cooper, airport security changed dramatically. Metal detectors expanded nationwide, passenger screening increased, airlines redesigned procedures specifically to prevent similar escapes. The hijacker had exposed serious weaknesses in American aviation security. But despite all the new precautions, the original mystery remained unsolved. Then investigators uncovered another disturbing realization. The storm conditions during the jump may have been even worse than initially believed. Some experts later concluded Cooper jumped into near total darkness over freezing mountainous terrain with almost no visibility. If that was true, survival became almost impossible. And yet, still no body appeared. No remains. Nothing. The forests remained silent. One FBI agent later admitted the case haunted investigators because every conclusion seemed wrong. If Cooper survived, where did he go? How did he escape unnoticed, carrying ransom money? And if he died, why was no trace ever found? The Pacific Northwest itself almost seemed to swallow him completely. As months passed, the investigation transformed from a criminal case into a national obsession. The mystery became larger than the hijacking itself, because Americans could not stop thinking about the final image. A man in a business suit stepping into the darkness above an endless storm-covered wilderness, then vanishing forever. Some viewed Cooper as reckless, others saw him as brilliant, a criminal, a folk hero, an impossible ghost hidden somewhere inside American history. But the FBI still believed answers existed, and soon investigators would begin examining the men who might actually have been D.B. Cooper. Former soldiers, paratroopers, professional skydivers, and suspects whose lives contained strange similarities to the hijacker himself. Because somewhere inside thousands of interviews and FBI files, authorities believed the truth might still be hiding. In the next episode, the largest manhunt in FBI history turns toward the suspects, and the mystery becomes even darker. This is Echoes of Humanity TV, youtube.com @Echoes of Humanity TV.